So, a couple of days ago, the White House released a statement honoring the feast day of Saint Michael. Specifically, it was the feast day of the Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. And a couple of people sent me a text message that the White House released a statement. What a beautiful thing. What a triumphant thing. Trump is honoring Catholic feast days. And you know what? It struck me the wrong way. First, let me emphasize the Biden White House transforming Easter into Trans Day of Visibility and other such despicable antics was an absolute disgrace. So I'm glad that President Trump is actually honoring Christian feast days, treating Easter, Christmas, and other feast days as they should be with a sense of reverence. So, why did it strike me the wrong way this time? First, before I get into it, let me show you the texts. Maybe you've seen it already. It was a brief text that referenced not only the feast day but also made allusion to the famous prophecy of Pope Leo the 13th regarding Saint Michael and spiritual warfare. So here's the text. Notice how reverent it is. Today, I salute the millions of Christian believers in the United States and around the world observing the feast of Saint Michael the Archangel. According to sacred scripture, when the devil rebelled against God in heaven, Saint Michael and his legion of angels cast Satan down to earth, triumphantly reasserting God's sovereignty over all creation. For 2,000 years, Christians have looked to Saint Michael the Archangel for protection, strength, and courage in times of conflict, distress, and doubt. Beautiful, reverent, biblical, of course, referencing here, or at least making allusion here to Revelation chapter 12, the battle between Saint Michael and God's angels against the dragon and the fallen angels who become demons. Then, next paragraph. In 1886, nearly 140 years ago, Pope Leo XIII, leader of the Roman Catholic Church, fearing for the future of the Western world, introduced the legendary prayer to Saint Michael, which is still recited to this day in churches and homes all across our nation and throughout the world. And then the document finishes with the Saint Michael prayer. So obviously, there's nothing wrong with the text. The text is reverent. It is commemorating a beautiful sacred feast day. So why did it strike me the wrong way? A friend of mine on Facebook, I should say a Facebook friend, who writes for LifeSite News, really nailed it. And when I saw his post, I thought to myself, yes, this is what I've been feeling. So he posted this document, the White House document, and then he said, Catholics, do not be distracted. How can this man, this president, write about celebrating a Catholic feast day when he and his administration are complicit in a genocide right now in Gaza? The starvation of children, the mass murder of so many children, families, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers. I mean, it's not controversial anymore. It's not a debate. Yes, there are those who are still self-deluding themselves and they want to pretend it's not happening or they want to pretend that it's justifiable. But the human rights organizations are in agreement. B'Tselem, Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, UN representatives have testified that it's genocide what is happening. And get this, Bibi Netanyahu is currently there is currently an arrest warrant for him in 125 different countries around the world. This is according to the International Criminal Court, that has an arrest warrant for him for war crimes. And obviously, that is the major reason as to why recently, when he was given a speech at the UN, the majority of UN representatives walked out. They are saying you have alienated the world with your crimes. And here's the thing. I understand that there's people who will say, well, what about October 7th? The Palestinians deserve this. October 7th was a travesty. And guess what? Because of October 7th, Hamas, the leaders of Hamas, the International Criminal Court also has an arrest warrant for them. So, yes, they are also culpable. But guess what? It hasn't been about Hamas in a while now. For a while now. It hasn't been about Hamas because what's happening is an attack against civilians. Notice how even Charlie Kirk, who was a big Israel supporter, final weeks of his life on the PBD podcast, he exuded some fear as he was going to say it. He literally said, I need to be careful about what I'm about to say. But he finally said, they're planning to ethnically cleanse Gaza. This isn't about Hamas anymore. This is about ethnic cleansing of a population, and it's disturbing and it's disgusting. Christians have been targeted. Of course, so many Muslims have been killed. The conservative numbers say that it's been maybe 65 to 70,000 people. Other statistics say it's probably closer to 200,000, if not more, by now. And it is happening in front of the world. Genocide is happening in front of the world in the 21st century. And so, Mr. President, spare me the piety. Spare me the piety. If you're going to commemorate a Catholic feast day, if you're going to honor the great warrior that is Saint Michael, then do your job. Live the Christian faith. Stop this madness. There are so many who, to this day, use the propaganda tactic when you criticize Israel that this is anti Semitism, this is Jew hatred. Somebody said, and I really believe this, when you began killing and starving children, then you've lost your right to play the victim cards. It's not anti Semitism. It is a defense of the dignity of human life, and it is recognizing that even Palestinian children have dignity. They are also made in the image of God, both Christian and Muslim children. And what has happened is disgraceful. There have been thousands of priests who have signed a petition against the horror. The petition came out originally from Italy, and I like how the petition states Christ is being crucified in Gaza. Once again, Mr. Trump, White House members, you have the power to stop this. You have the power to stop this, but so far your response has been cowardly. I mean, it's similar to the Epstein files. That was such a disappointment. Gaslighting supporters in the process for wanting answers. And that's what I mean. When you're going to gaslight people about the Epstein files and therefore justify sexual abuse, when you're going to gaslight people about the genocide, the ethnic cleansing that is happening in Gaza, pretend that it's not happening, pretend that Israel needs to finish the job as if it's still about Hamas, please spare me the piety. Spare me the piety. The little commemoration to Catholics on the White House website becomes a mockery compared to the horror that you have been complicit in on the ground against children of God. That's why I will say I'm not buying it. Not buying it at all.